All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining our online chain of custody webinar. My name is German, and I'm a software engineer at SGS Galson. With the help of my colleagues, I've spent many hours building and fine-tuning the system, which we will be presenting today. And with me, we have Caroline to assist me in hosting this webinar. She's one of our excellent client service reps and greatly assisted in this project by providing her expert knowledge in this field. So please note that this webinar will last about 30 minutes. During the entire time, muted, and we encourage you to use the chat window for all of your questions. Please feel free to ask a question at any time, but do note that we have allotted time at the end of this webinar as well for a dedicated question and answer session. If you wish to chat at any time, then please click the cloud icon, the number 1 in the picture, and then enter your message right there, and one of us will be able to reply to you. Is simply the COC, and I will use those interchangeably. So, I'm sure that the question on everyone's mind is, what is the online? And the answer to that is simple. The online chain of custody is a full-featured web app that we provide to you free of charge. It will allow you to create, edit, and manage your chain of custodies from an easy-to-use web interface at any time of day and from any device, such as your desktop, laptop, or tablet, or smartphone even. This will help in eliminating paperwork, clutter, and best of all, keeps your data safe with us so you no longer have to worry about losing a piece of paper and starting all over again. You can create, edit, manage, copy, and print as many chain of custodies as you want. Now, in order to actually complete a chain of custody with us, we do have one requirement, and that is that you simply create a client portal account. If you have one, then you can log in and you can access this application right away. Or if you don't, then please feel free to sign up on our website or get in touch with. So now with that out of the way, we can start the live demonstration of the COC online chain of custody. I'm just going to bring in a web browser here. And that we are at portal.galsonlabs.com. And so I will just start right off by logging in with my email and password. Okay. So before we start, you will notice that it took me right inside our client portal here to the reports page. And I just want to talk about this real quick because it is also a very important benefit of having a client portal account with us. In here, you can see that my account has a bunch of logins completed, so to say, from our test accounts at Galson. So you can see I have access to my chain of custodies, the final report, any EDDs, data packages, and off on the far right we have the invoice column. I have access to these 24/7, and I can look up any report dating back to 2007 currently. And one exciting feature which we released recently is this status column here. And what this tells you is how the samples, at what stage the samples are within our lab. So you can see all of these logins are set to final because the final report has been issued, except for this upper one. It's okay, it's just a test. And for a complete list of statuses, I'm just going to click this little question updated when my samples are logged in, when they contracted, or if our QA department is reviewing your final report, or any of these other statuses here. Out of the way, I'd like to continue straight over to the chain of custody. And on the left-hand side here, I will simply click that link. So you will notice here that these are all of my chain of custodies. I already have a few, and this last one here I started from scratch. But you will notice that the first two have a prep number associated to them. That is because these COCs were created for me at the time of placing an order. So I received a pre-populated chain of custody with the samples and analyses that I ordered. And so for this webinar, let's just dive right into this first one here, and I'll go ahead and click the edit button. Okay, before we start, I'd just like to get familiar with the interface here. So across the top, you will see that we have a total of 8 different sections. We will work through each section to complete the chain of custody, but since this one was pre-populated for us, about 80% of the data will actually be filled in for us. Across the button here, and if I scroll down the page, you will see a Save Progress button in the bottom right as well. So you can save the chain at any time and return to it at a later date. You'll also see that there's a Save Progress and View PDF button. So if you're ever wondering what all of this online chain of custody data would look like in PDF format, you simply click this and it will create the PDF, which you can use to gauge how your final chain of custody is going to turn out. So you'll see all my address information's there. And like I said, since this is a pre-populated chain, the analysis I would like is in there already as well. And this one happens to be 2 pages. So I will go ahead and close this window. So now let's just start with the account and billing section. You'll see that the account was already selected for me based on my order information, as was the invoicing information, along with the reporting information for who will get the reports once I send in the samples. If you want additional people to get the report, you can simply click the green plus button there, and I'm just going to add Caroline here as a second report receiver, and she'll get that report once it is ready. If we scroll down a little further, you'll see that we have a spot to enter our PO number if we have one. This one was pre-filled for me based on the account number. That PO is attached to the account number, so it automatically pulled in. If I needed to change it, I can feel free to do so. And that's it for the account section. Next, we move on to the submittal location section. And on this page, you'll simply select which location you would like to drop off your samples. For service centers such as Ontario, right here, you'll notice that the address data changes, and we also put in a little message here to let you know that since the samples have to come back to our laboratory in East Syracuse, that we cannot offer all of the same turnaround times as you might come to expect. So please call client services if you need to work out a special arrangement. And now, also along the top, you'll see that this section has unsaved data, and it is yellow. And as I move over to the turnaround time info section, you'll see that it automatically saves, and I don't have to fear losing any of my work. So on the turnaround times, we simply select how fast of a turnaround we expect with our samples. We can have the standard, the 4 business days, the 3, the 2, or next day by 6 p.m. We can see that next day by noon is grayed out, and that is because we chose Ontario in the previous section. So say I need my results in 4 business days. So I simply click on that. And since this is what we consider rush processing, we would actually like you to affix rush labels to your box of samples. So down here, we provide a button for you to generate and print rush labels. So say I'm sending back 2 boxes, I just go to there, and I get the rush labels. And here is a PDF file with 2 rush labels. So I'd simply proceed to print this, cut out the labels, and affix it to my box of samples. So at this point, let's take another look at the PDF as it is progressing so far. As we can see, Caroline's name is right in here for the report 2. And on the left side, we have the 4 business days checked off. And we've even added a red rush label directly to this COC so that once we get it in-house, we can more easily track it and get you the results on time. So I'll go ahead and close this. Next up, we have the collection info section where you can record your site name, the project, the person which performed the sampling, any general comments, interferences, and the state in which you collected your samples. And right here, I'm just going to set this to my name by clicking this link down here. I have no comments right now, no interferences, and the samples were collected in New York. And that is that. Next up, we have the OEL info section, or occupational exposure limits. If you need your samples to meet a given criteria, please check off one of these boxes, and we will we will strive to meet that. And now we're actually going to move on to the biggest benefit of using our online chain of custody, and that's the sampling info section. First, I'd like to get you familiar with this page by showing you that on the left side you will see that all the samples are listed for this pre-populated chain of custody. So for whichever one I need to edit, I'll just be able to click through them and add the necessary information. And directly below that, we have controls here. So if your samples are kind of out of order, you can just click on one of these up here in the blue and click move down, and now the first sample is going to show up at the end of the PDF. A little further down, we'll find other actions, such as adding a new sample to this chain of custody. We can copy the current sample that we're working on. We can delete our current sample, or we can delete multiple samples if we need that. So let's start off by filling out the first sample here. For the sample ID, you can choose any ID that you please. So I'm just going to call this sample 1. And then I did the sampling today, so I simply click that link there. And let's say I sampled for 90 minutes. And the collection medium is already done for me, the analysis requested, and the method reference as well. So that is one of the main benefits of getting a pre-populated chain of custody and finishing it up online. So I'm going to go ahead and do the next sample here as well. Or actually, no, I'm not going to do it. What I'm going to do at this point is just go ahead and delete multiple samples. So the first sample's done. So say I'm not ready to send in samples 2 and 3 today. I just go ahead and delete them like so. And then that's that. No more samples 2 and 3. And for this presentation, I'd also like to review how to add a sample in case you do need to add something which wasn't already on here. Or if you're doing a chain of custody from scratch and it wasn't pre-populated for you. So I'll just click add another sample down here. And you can see on the left side we have 2 now. So I'm going to do sample-2. I also did this one today. Let's say this one was 90 minutes again. And you'll notice something different about this sample. Since we're adding it from scratch, the collection medium is actually grayed out for now. So what we have to do is go to Analysis Requested here and start typing for what we need to sample for. And in here, you get a list of all of our analyses. So from this list, I need to do another formaldehyde sample. So I'll just go ahead and click that. And we get a pop-up window for us to choose our collection medium now. In here, if I simply click in the search box and press the down arrow, then I can see all of the sampling mediums on which I can sample for formaldehyde. So I would like to do another assay N571 badge. So I go ahead and click that, and click Done. And now you'll see that the badge was selected here, and the method reference was automatically filled in for me. So at this point, let's see what the PDF looks like. So you'll see all our information is still in here. And now we have sample 1 and sample 2 right in there just like that. For the sake of demonstrating something towards the end of this presentation, I'm just going to delete the sample ID for now. So let's move on to the authorization section now. In here, basically you give us your name, the relinquish date, and the relinquish time, and that's all you have to do here. If you would like to submit this chain of custody electronically and not print it out and send it in, for example, if you're working out in the field and you simply don't have access to a printer, simply click on Sign this COC electronically, and right here we can see the chain of custody number, and what it's asking us to do is to simply write that number on our bag of samples so that once the samples arrive at our laboratory, we know exactly which electronic chain of custody to pull up. And it's important that you at least tell us the chain of custody number or print it out and send it in with your samples. If we receive a box of unmarked samples and we don't know which chain of custody it goes to, we will have to call you and get that information from you, and hopefully that does not cause any delays. So now that we're done with the authorization section, we can just move on to the Finalize COC here. So I'm going to go ahead and attempt to finalize it. And what it's going to do, it's going to run through all these sections, make sure everything is filled in completely. And as you can see here, the sampling info section has some form errors. So I'll just go there, and I can see that the sample ID is a required field. So I put in my sample ID and return to the Finalize screen. And now it should allow me to finalize it with no problem. Once you finalize the chain of custody, it is no longer editable because we need the data to stay exactly as is once we receive your samples at our lab and we electronically import the data into our system. So the finalization process is to avoid any data discrepancies, which is necessary. So yes, finalize my chain of custody. And that's it. Since we signed it electronically, it is asking us once more to put the chain of custody ID somewhere on the bag of samples. Down here, I also have the option to email the chain of custody to myself. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. We can see it's sending, and there it is. It's been sent. So I'm going to go ahead and close that. Now we're going to go back to our original list of chain of custodies. So on the left side, I'm just going to click this red bar here. And as we can see, the chain of custody that I just finished is now finalized, and I can no longer edit it. I can view the PDF if I wish. So if I need to print it or email it to someone, or just if I want to save and store it on my computer, here is the PDF, fully accessible 24/7. And also, if I'm doing a repetitive sampling event, it would be very beneficial to take advantage of our copy COC functionality. So here in the blue More box, there is the option to copy the chain of custody. So it will create an exact copy of all your analyses, all your address information and everything, and you'll just have to go in there and update any air volumes that you might need. Okay. So, before we conclude this webinar, I'd also like to demonstrate how to quickly access a pre-populated chain of custody directly from your email. So when you place an order with our client service reps, we put it in our system, and once it has been shipped, you should receive an email similar to this one that tells you the order has been shipped. In the very bottom of the email, there is a link for a pre-populated COC. So you just have to click on Try It Out, and right away it will open the login page for the portal. And since I'm using a different web browser here, I'm not already logged in, so I have to log in again. If I was logged in already, it would just open up the chain of custody right away. And here we go. Just log in. And it opens up the chain of custody for the prep number from that shipping email that we just saw earlier. And this prep is actually the same. So all the pre-existing data is going to be the same as the demo I just showed you. And you're free to just fill this out and send it in as well. Okay. So at this time, this basically concludes our webinar. I would like to open up the floor for a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please send a chat message to either Caroline or myself, and I am going to look through the chat queue to see if any questions have come through that I can answer out loud for everyone. And I see that we currently have no questions about the online COC system. So that is good. That is good to see. All right. Since there are no further questions, we can now bring this webinar to the close. And if you have any questions at all while using the online COC in your day-to-day work, please get in touch with any of our client service reps through either chat, phone call, or email. And in order to chat directly from the chain of custody, we have this IH Live Chat window right here. So you just click that, and it opens up our IH Live Chat window. So you can use this while filling out your chain of custody, and it won't be interrupted, and they'll be able to answer any questions that you have. And it looks like somebody actually does have a question here, and the question is simply, how do I access the pre-populated COC? So I'll just go ahead and quickly show that from the beginning. I'll do a new tab here. Okay, so what you'll want to do is visit portal.galsonlabs.com, and you'll be greeted with the login page, and you will log in with your client portal credentials. If you do not have any, you can create an account by following this link down here, or if you forgot your password, you can follow this link. So I'm just going to go ahead and log in. And on the left-hand side here, I go to the chain of custody section, and the pre-populated COCs, you will see in this prep number column, you will see a prep number associated to it. So if you're looking for a specific prep, this is how you would find the COC for it. And all you would do is simply click on Edit here, and it will open the chain of custody for you. Or, I also demonstrated this, if you have the shipping notified in front of you, so say I want to fill out the chain of custody for this prep, I go to the bottom of the email, and I click on this Try It Out link for the online pre-populated COC. So upon clicking it, you can see that the chain of custody opened up right away here, and I am working on the chain of custody for that prep number. All right. Looks like we actually have another question as well. So the question is, do pre-populated COCs save billing info as well? The answer to that is yes. The billing info is right here in the account and billing section, and you can see that it says invoice to, and this invoicing information is pulled directly from our LIMS system, and it is only editable by client services. So if you need to make an update to any of these invoicing addresses, you will have to get in touch with client services, and they will have to update it on the back end. So as you can see, if I go to this other test company I have, I use this drop down here, and I have two billing infos. So I have this one, and then this second one. So I can choose who gets the invoice. But I'll go ahead and leave it on what it originally was, which was this account and this billing invoice. Let's see. And there's a part 2 to the question. Does the billing info get saved in the copy COC function after it is finalized? And the answer to that is yes. So this finalized COC, I'm just going to go ahead and copy it right now. And as you can see, the account and billing info section has the exact same choices chosen as the finalized chain of custody did. And it also has all of the sampling info. So there's our sample 1 and 2. And I can change this however I like and just finalize it again and send it in with my samples. And if I go back to my list, you'll see here's that 4th chain of custody that was copied. All right. just like to hold the floor open for another minute or two to see if anyone else has any questions. And after a minute, we can conclude this webinar. All right. It looks like we do have another question that just came in, and I just had to verify something real quick to make sure I understand it. And the question is asking, up to what point can you add samples to a chain of custody before you can no longer add them? You can add samples to a chain of custody as long as it is in draft status or as long as it's in copy status. Once a COC is finalized, we take away the edit button, and that chain of custody will not be editable any longer. If you find out that a mistake was made on some point of the chain of custody, that is okay, because you can just go over here and make a copy of it and send in the copy and leave the mistake chain of custody just in here, and it won't bother anyone. So, as you see, this copy chain of custody was created from the finalized one. So in this situation, I would just leave the finalized one here and send in the copy once I've finalized it. Okay, so it appears that there are no further questions, and at this point I would like to bring the webinar to a close. We certainly hope that this session makes you feel more confident and equipped to make your sampling life easier, because that is a goal that we strive to achieve on a daily basis. And thank you all for joining.